Hey, yo, I'm about to take you back to your childhood. You remember this? A doo-doop, a doo-doop, a doo-doop, a doop. I'm number 94. Each day I snitch some more. I like whining. I'm Daron Payne. Come on, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another video, and Daron Payne, whining and complaining, daddy, he is snitching on St. Brown. Now, if you guys are not familiar with what's going on, Javon Kinlaw, the teammate to Daron Payne of the Washington Commanders, said that Amon-Ra St. Brown punched Daron Payne first, and that the refs didn't catch that. And then Daron Payne retaliated and punched St. Brown, but he's the one that got ejected and will probably have a spine and a fine. He is the one that got a fine, ejected, and has been suspended for 1 game. The same thing that happened to Brian Branch. But Daron Payne turns into whiny Caillou, daddy. Look at what happened, daddy. Crying. Puts this on his Instagram this morning. And this is just weak to me, man. You weak, pathetic fool. You are too big for all of this. All right. So this is the best that I could do to blow this up here. All right, now, there is something that led up to this play. This is after the play was over. You're going to see this is Daron Payne right here. I know it's small, just bear with me. And St. Brown is right there. Now, I think St. was blocked into Payne. Some stuff happened on the ground. They get up, and this is St. Brown's reaction. Of course, keep in mind, and you can very rarely see it. This is coming from, I forgot the dude's Twitter account. I'll make sure I shout it out before we're over. But initially, from this angle here, it looks like that the initial slap is St. Brown slapping at his hand, slapping his hand away from him in some regard. But even so, at that point, look who said it right here. Who is this right here? This is a ref. He has a direct line of sight to the scuffle that's happening less than 5 yards away from him. This might be 5 feet. He's looking right at it. He does nothing. Now, you'll see here that he gets himself as it proceeds. He's going to put himself in the middle. And there is again, this is so tiny. This is so teensy, man. I don't know who recorded this, but why would you not record it bigger? But St. Brown, let me see if I can go back so you guys can see it. Once I see it, I will. All right, here it is in slow motion. This is St. Brown. The first thing is a hand slap. The second thing is he hits the face mask. Amon-Ra St. Brown does make contact with Daron Payne. There's no doubt about it. The ref is right there. But St. Brown hits the face mask, and there's no flag. There's no flag. He comes in to break it up. Now, as you can see, the Commanders are saying there should be a flag on this play, and maybe there should have. I don't know. Daron Payne, look, if you turn around and you square up against somebody, which is what Daron Payne right there, again, you can barely see it, but he turns to square up with St. Brown. Now, where I'm from, I know what that means, but I got to keep in mind, this is after the whistles. This is outside of the play. I got to keep my composure. And St. Brown, the initial arm push is not that big of a deal, but hitting him in the face mask was uncalled for. It was uncalled for. Didn't have to do it. I don't know what happened on the field before we see what we see. What kind of, what was happening on the ground, even with the R22, you might not be able to see that. All right. So that's what happened. Okay. And this is after, I want to say this is after Kinlaw was up in Jared Goff's face. So I'm going to let it play again from start to finish. And we'll look at, and again, this is directly after the play. There's a lot of emotions. The ref is right there. Again, it is possibly a judgment call, but I think that Daron Payne is trying to get St. Brown suspended. He's trying to say, well, look what he did. He hit me first. Why? Mommy, daddy. Look what happened, daddy. Crying to the refs and Roger Goodell and all that stuff. That's what he's doing. How weak is that, bro, to post it on your Instagram like, see, look what happened. He did hit me first. I'm not lying. I mean, bro, first of all, you over 300-something pounds. That's number one. And so, all right, so that's number one. And this was coming from a Twitter account by the name of Josh Taylor. And I don't know if this is a Commanders fan or what, but let me just go back to this. All right. So we saw the same thing with Brian Branch, the same type of situation when Branch wind up smacking Juju Smith-Schuster. And you could argue that it was, some stuff that we know how Juju Smith-Schuster is, and that he probably had it coming. I'm not condoning any of this stuff because this is already a violent sport. There's no place for it. I knew that Daron Payne was not going to win his suspension. And I also don't think that St. Brown is going to be suspended either because the NFL has been slipping tremendously this year. And if you wind up suspending St. Brown, now he probably will be fine, but if you wind up suspending him and the ref was standing right there looking at the entire play from start to finish, and who knows what he saw on the ground, you're not going to call or penalize St. Brown on the field, but you're going to say that you should have. So in a year that the officiating has been under intense scrutiny, I don't see them being able to go back and add a suspension. They might. I doubt it, though, because it's a lot of context here inside the play, directly after the play. How much of the face mask did he connect? How much of the helmet did he connect? Was it super premeditated? What was the intent behind it? All that stuff that I'm sure they would take into consideration when they make decisions on whether or not they should suspend somebody. Now, let's look now at a very, very small 4-second clip of Daron Payne and his retaliation. Now, here is Daron Payne here. This is St. Brown. Don't know what's being said. You can already tell. For me, it looks like Payne is already looking, and I wonder if that's Ken Law. I can't really tell. But Payne is already looking at St. Brown. Not sure if St. Brown is looking at Payne or past Payne. All right? So he's going to walk, and Payne is going to just cock back and hit him. He's going to cock back and hit him. And I wonder, is that Ken Law? But he just cocks back and hit him. The whole thing was completely different. Now, I'm not saying that St. Brown was wrong. And I'm going to slow this down even more because the NFL likes to copyright claim things. So I don't know but you can see the wind up, and I don't know if that looks like an open hand to me, but this ref, and I wonder, is that the same ref that saw it before? But the open hand, the cock back, you know what I'm saying? The outright just slap. So this is the same thing that Brian Branch did. As a matter of fact, this almost low-key seemed a little bit suckery, like a sucker punch, you know what I'm saying? Because the right side of him is almost hidden from view from St. Brown, and then he just kind of cocks back and hits him. That's real weak of a 300-plus pound man. He probably outweighs St. Brown by 75 pounds, and for no reason should you do this. And again, nobody is exempt from responsibility. St. Brown had a responsibility. Everyone involved from the tackle down to the ground. So I'm not condoning. I'm not saying that it was right. I mean, again, this is probably outside of rugby and like boxing and stuff like that. This would be the equivalent of taking a punch after the bell. Like, you just don't do stuff like this. There's no place for violence in a violent game already, right? So, but the fact that Daron Payne put this up on his IG, like turned into a little snitch, that's crazy to me, bro. You too big for that. Brian Branch said and I haven't heard Daron Payne if he spoke on it or said anything about it. I know St. Brown, and look, I know St. Brown, listen, I know he petty. I know he got a little arrogance in him. I know he probably egged him on a little bit. Not to say he deserved it, but he probably did contribute to it. You know what I mean? I could see that. But still, you 300 and some pounds. You outweigh the dude by at least 75 pounds. You put your hands, you get your filthy hands off me. You keep them to yourself. And that's on both parties. Both parties were wrong. One was more wrong than the other. That is a thing. But I'm just like, dog, why are you snitching? What is this? So did you put this on IG to try to, look what happened? Look, he just reminded me of Caillou, bro. Like, look what Rosie did, daddy. That's what he looked like. That's what he looked like, bro. You're too big to be Caillou. Stop playing, man. So anyway, we'll see. But what I liked about Brian Branch is Brian was like, yo, I was out of line. It was childish. I shouldn't have done it. I'm going to take he did appeal the suspension and loss the same way that Payne did. But he took it. He took it on the chin. He set out his game. He came back and did his thing, right? But you got to set the example. This example's got to be set. So the question I have for you is, do you think that there was a difference? I think that there was a difference. You have like the heat of the moment. You have contact to the face mask versus the helmet. You have the cock back, the swing, the whole nine. The first time St. Brown pushed his arm away. The second time he did make contact with the helmet. But do you think that St. Brown should be suspended? Try not to be biased. Do you think he should be suspended? I'm gonna tell you what. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know what the refs are told. If this happens, you do this. If that happens, you do that. You do that, right? So if something happens in the heat of the play, because if you watch, man, there's a lot of pushing and shoving outside of the play. Like, as soon as the play is over, there's a lot of pushing and shoving. I do think that a open hand slap, a closed hand punch to a certain point of the head in proximity to the end of the play, I think that all of that is wrong, right? If you pop up and you just slap somebody in the head, you are gone, period. You bunt the refs, you gone. But if the play is over, there's some pushing and shoving, there's some grabbing. I've seen things play out for 15, 20 seconds, but it's not until either the refs keep blowing the whistle or they make contact, or you see it where they pushing and shoving and they shove the ref, like, you're gone, right? So I can see that. So I'm not trying to make excuses for St. Brown, because you have to learn how to compose yourself, right? If this was Jamison Williams, we probably would have something to say, right? So I'm not going to excuse him for his behavior. I don't know what happened that led up to this, but I know that if somebody that outweighed me by 75 pounds, if they doing something to me on the ground, I'm probably going to have something to say or do when I stand up. That's just it, right? But I got to think about my teammates. I got to think all of that. But the cock back and the swing, two different things to me. And St. Brown will be fine. There's no doubt about it. But let me know if you think he should be suspended. Do you think that there was a difference between Payne and St. Brown, or do you think they fall under the same category? I feel like it's two different categories. It's kind of like the heat of the moment versus premeditation, the intent behind it, the proximity of hand to helmet, right? If you slap somebody in a face mask, is that different from connecting to the head, to the actual head part of the helmet, right? So, if you grab a face mask, for instance, you can grab a face mask, but you have to let it go. It doesn't become a face mask really until there's some type of tilt of the head, whether it's left or right or down. So again, I don't know the rules when it comes to this. The ref was standing right there. You saw he was standing right there. It was his call to make. He chose not to do it. But then the second time, the cock back and slap. And honestly, I think not only that's why he got ejected, and that's why he's also suspended, because of that kind of premeditation, cock back, slap. And he caught much more of the head. Plus, I don't know if this is a thing, but it's probably not, because you're on the same field. Payne can tackle St. Brown. Devontae Smith weighed 100 pounds soaking wet. Of course, I'm being hyperbolic here, but you got a guy that outweighs you by like 100 pounds, right? Slapping you in the head. So I don't know, man, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? But the whininess, bro. Like, seriously, this is what we're doing. You just like, he hit me. Let me show you. Let me put it on my IG. Like, bro, eat your suspension. Do what you got to do and come back on the field. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You can be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. Members, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to update the member list. Now, I'm going to wait till the 15th of the month, because a lot of people's like, I'll update the list, and then right after I update it, their number will change. So I'm going to update the list in the middle of the month. Here's what's going to happen. If you are a director tier member and you have hit your 6th month milestone, you are supposed to receive a reward. Now, you have to be at this level for a total of 6 months. You cannot be at a lower level and then up at 5 and go to, and then you have to be, I can see how long you've been a member of that tier. Here's what I'm asking you. There's a lot of people that don't even connect. They don't claim their reward. This is something I'm trying to do for you. I thought about this stuff when I announced memberships. Okay. So what I'm going to do once a month, when I change the numbers or the director tier in screen, I will mention it. That's the last time I'm going to do that. So if you once you hit 6, you get one at 6, 12, 24, 36, 48. That's as far as YouTube goes right now. All right. I try to put more thought into each milestone. The bigger the milestone, the more I try to put in it. Right now, it is a helmet, the mini helmet, the gray helmet with the new blue face mask. At 6 months, it is the Motor City Muscle mini helmet. And then, I'm sorry, at 6 months, it's the gray blue face mask. At 12 months, it's the Motor City Muscle helmet. And then we'll see where I haven't had anybody hit 2 years yet, but people are right around the corner. All right. So it is your responsibility to email. I will mention it once a month. It's your responsibility to email me and we'll go from there. If I don't hear from you, I'm not going to chase you down because I'm trying to chase people down and all of that. So if you hit 6 months, you're supposed to get a helmet. If you've hit 12 months, you're supposed to get a helmet. If you have not gotten either one, please email me your mailing address. My email is in the description. The choice is yours. All right. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. Don't forget to check out the Ridge wallet. You can get yours today for 45% off the driver combo. That is the keychain and the wallet as well.